Stuffing amigurumi is where everything goes wrong. Have you ever finished a project and thought, why does it look so weird? Too much stuffing, your toy looks like it was lifting weight. Not enough stuffing, it looks like a sad pancake.
It looks like a sad block of granite.
Stuffing poking out? An absolute nightmare. Believe me, there was a point in my life where I struggled with that too, until I found out a few game-changing techniques. And today I will share them all with you. The 5 do's and don'ts that make stuffing an amigurumi way easier. I wish I knew them sooner. Hey everyone, if you're new here in the channel, I am Bianca from Crocheniacs, and if you want to learn how to crochet amigurumi from scratch, or if just like me, you love everything amigurumi related, you got to the right channel. The do number 1. Follow the pattern instructions. I know, we all like to do things our own way. But if a pattern tells you to stuff a section in a certain way, do it.
I set the rules and you follow them blindly, okay?
The designer probably tested how to stuff it in different ways to tell you exactly how to do it. And there were testers involved in this process that also tested the idea. Probably if you skip that step, you might end with a toy that won't hold its shape. And when it comes to follow a pattern, I would say read it all. Just like skim, skim and scan the whole text, the whole PDF instruction before you actually close the pieces of the amigurumi. Because some patterns in some parts of the amigurumi require some strategic filling to make it really holds the shape. And when you read it all, it gives you an overview idea of how the amigurumi will look like. And it's way easier to stuff after you understand all the steps. Do number 2. Add stuffing in small pieces. Stop jamming like big hands of stuffing into your toy. Instead, you should take a small ball of stuffing and rip it into even smaller pieces. And you stuff it gradually. Do number 3. Distribute stuffing evenly. It might sound like a weird tip, but believe me, it makes a difference. Because I've seen it happening a few times. People telling me that their amigurumi looks lumpy on one side and flat in the other. And it happens not because of the shape or how you crochet it or the yarn that you chose, but because you didn't distribute the stuffing evenly in your toy. And I have an example here of an amigurumi that I'm still working on. It's just a head now, a ball, but when stuffing the amigurumi, do not, of course I already told you, do not randomly put stuffing inside. Put it gradually, insert the stuffing gradually, and with your fingers, you adjust the stuffing to see if it's reaching all parts inside the amigurumi. I mean, do you feel empty spots? Really squeeze it. See if you put too much stuffing and it's overstuffing.
Well, but this is the don't. I'll get there.
Right now, focus on using your fingers to see if there's a stuffing in all the angles inside the amigurumi, and if the stuffing is well distributed inside. Do number 4, consider the end user. I don't think I have ever seen people talking about it when it comes to stuffing. People talk about it when it comes to safety eyes and the yarn choice, but not about stuffing. And what do I mean about considering the end user? Is this amigurumi that you're building for a child that will simply go everywhere with this toy? Or is it an amigurumi that is for an adult and it's just going to be placed in a shelf like I have here? This is also very important because then we need to consider the quality of the stuffing that we are working with. Of course, you're not going to use a bad material regardless of the end user, if it's an adult or a child, but we should consider any kind of allergies and things like that when it comes to choosing the materials that we are working with to build our amigurumi. And the last do number 5, before I start talking about all the don'ts. Adjust stuffing density for different parts of the amigurumi. Remember tip number 1? I told you that you should follow the pattern instructions. If a pattern tells you how to stuff, you should really follow it. Well, actually, tip number 1 is really connected with this tip number 5. Because if an amigurumi requires different techniques to stuffing in different parts of it, probably the pattern will tell you this. Some areas might need a bit more stuffing to be firm and hold the shape of the amigurumi, while others, sometimes you don't even need to stuff, or they might need less stuffing to give a bit more flexibility. And the rule, honestly, there is no rule. It really depends on the pattern. And now is the moment that you should trust the designer, and you should trust what is written in the pattern. And in case you have questions, you're not sure, just ask. Don't be one of those mean people that simply give a bad feedback. Ask, because most likely the person will answer you. When I look at my amigurumi here, because every time I'm giving you tips and explaining something, I want to give examples. And I see some amigurumi here that has a lot of stuffing in some parts. In some parts, they have absolutely nothing stuffed. For example, let me grab that bee. Well, this bee here, of course, the head and the body, which is no sewing, it was all crocheted together, there is a stuffing. But I didn't stuff the wings. Otherwise, I would not have this effect. So that's when you should trust what is written in the pattern.
Trust me.
And now the don'ts. I gave you 5 do's, and now we will work on the 5 don'ts when it comes to stuffing. And the first one is overstuffing. If you have ever finished an amigurumi and it looked bloated like the fish.
I forgot the name of the fish. You know the fish that bloats?
Well, that's basically because overstuffing stretches the stitches. And I know I talked so much about this topic already here in the channel, but I still see people committing this mistake. And that's why I'll keep repeating, because I'll keep teaching. Do not overstuff your amigurumi, otherwise you will open your stitches, regardless of how tight they are, because I have really tight stitches. But if I overstuff my amigurumi, stuffing will open my stitches, even though they are super tight. So don't do that. Remember, use small pieces of stuffing instead of a big chunk and give it a squeeze. If it looks rock solid, you probably overdid it. Don't forget to stuff before closing. Sounds silly, sounds simple, but it happens. You reached the end of the section, you finish it off, and then you realize that you forgot to stuff it.
It really happens.
And that's why I said, if there is nothing written in the pattern regarding stuffing, it doesn't hurt to check with the designer that you bought if it's really okay. You know, better safe than sorry. I think it's easier to ask a question than simply close the amigurumi and then there is no way back, or it will give you a lot of trouble to frog the last round or the knot that you did to put stuffing in it. And also something that I consider very important, because I'm in this don't here, I'm talking about people who forget to stuff and close the amigurumi. But I also think that you shouldn't leave stuffing to be done in the last round of the amigurumi, because then it becomes way more difficult to do the finger tapping thing to see if there are empty places inside the amigurumi. This is something that you should do gradually. Of course, you won't start stuffing when the amigurumi is like in the early stages. But when you have a head of an amigurumi, like I have this one here, I still have, I think this is 30 stitches in this last round, and I already stuffed. If I decide to stuff in the last round when I only have like 12 single crochets or 6 single crochets, it would be impossible to like insert my finger here and tap like all over the toy to see if there are empty spots. Don't do that. Do it gradually. Like when the moment you start decreasing, because when I'm like, this is a ball. So the moment that I am still like going up with the ball, this is not the moment that I like to start stuffing. But the moment that I start decreasing, then I start stuffing. I think this is the best way to go, just so you know. The don't number 3 is a really good one. Don't stuff your amigurumi only with yarn scraps. I stuff with yarn scraps, but not exclusively with it. And why? Because yarn scraps, they don't shape the toy exactly the way they're supposed to be.
That is brand new information!
So my biggest recommendation when it comes to stuffing the amigurumi with yarn scraps is First, you stuff with the polyester fiber. Again, my hat example here, you stuff with polyester fiber all around the head of the amigurumi. It's like you create a base for it at the bottom and in all the, it's not a corner because it's a round shape, but you got it, like all over the amigurumi, and inside, like in the middle of the amigurumi, then you put the yarn scraps. That's the best way to go. Don't number 4, don't ignore the stretch test. Stuffing changes over time. I know that. And that's why I see some people overstuffing their amigurumi, because since the stretch of the polyester changes with time, we want to put more, so within a couple of months or years, the amigurumi will still look nice. But there is a limit, and that's why I said to not overstuff the toy. So before closing your amigurumi, like really press it to see if there are empty spots. If it's rock solid, then it's wrong, but it shouldn't be empty either. And this stretch test is something to be considered because you don't want your amigurumi to be perfect today and floppy within 2 weeks. And when you squeeze the amigurumi, if a section or a part of it shrinks too easily and it does not go back so easily as well, probably you need to add a bit more stuffing in it. And the last one, the last don't, I think I already mentioned a little bit of it here and there, but now we will go a bit deeper. Stuff all at once and expect it to look good in the end. Besides the tips that I already gave you, like stuff it gradually in small pieces, like massage and squeeze the amigurumi here and there, poke with your finger to see if there are empty spots. Something that is very simple, again, but it's very important, is to check it from different angles. There is another video here in the channel where I stuff my Winnie the Pooh version, which is like that big, and I stuff this amigurumi with you and I give you tips. I'm sorry for my voice, guys. I am recovering from a sore throat, and this is definitely not the best day to record YouTube videos, but I really wanted to chat with you. But something very interesting that I show in this video that I stuff with Winnie the Pooh is that since Winnie the Pooh is so big, it's like that big, I stuff it and I constantly check it a bit further from me in different angles. When I have a small amigurumi like this one, it's a bit easier because, well, this is the distance that I usually crochet. It's already further enough so I can see it from different angles. But if you're using a plushy yarn and it's a big amigurumi that will end up that big, you should probably try to see it from different angles because it really helps. Sometimes you're just tapping and you're touching all parts. You're trying to like feel all the stuffing in the amigurumi with your hands and it looks good, but then you put a bit further and you'd see that, oh my god, the top of the head is not round, it's a bit flat here and there, and then you realize that you need to stuff it a bit more. Okay guys, you see that there is a lot of science, I would say, behind the scenes of stuffing an amigurumi. It's not that simple, but it's also not so complicated. It doesn't need to be frustrating. It doesn't need to be complicated. I have tons of videos here in the channel where I talk about stuffing. And actually, if I wanted to make a complete video about it, like showing everything, explaining all the techniques and all the tools that I use, the video would probably end up with 1 hour and a half. But there are already 3 or 4 videos here in the channel where I talk about tweezers. I show you how to use the tweezers properly. So my biggest recommendation for you, if you struggle with stuffing, if you want to learn more how to stuff your amigurumi, just do a Bianca Flex here in the channel. Like type the word stuffing in my channel, Crocheniacs, and watch all the videos, because every video I give you a bit more information, a different tip, a different trick, and they will all be really, really important in your amigurumi journey. My mission here is to teach you, is to help you crochet the most beautiful amigurumi ever. I'm here with you. I want you to hold my hand, and I'm here with you in this journey. Thank you so much for watching, and I will leave you this video here because I am pretty sure you will like it too.